What's up, y'all? It's your boy Beasley. Hope you all are staying positive and cool out there. I'm coming at y'all today with a review of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Season 1, Episode 2. I gotta say, they're getting right straight into the mess. So far, I'm enjoying them. Like, I'm not bored at all. And for me, even this show was kind of like a trip down memory lane with the ski slopes and just the ski trips I used to go on. Skiing is a strenuous vacation, but I honestly want to visit the slopes once this whole entire coronavirus situation is under control. But starting off in the episode, we kind of started where we left off, where we see Jen. She's in the bathroom screaming at one of her assistants or somebody that was working at the party. And then we see Mary come in, and she basically tries to calm down the situation, but she ends up making it worse because Mary, I've come to notice, has foot and mouth syndrome. So basically, she reiterates the fact that, like, I didn't say that you smell like hospital, but I just said that it smelled like hospital, like, as in the room. And in her confessional, she basically says, like, all her friends and her smell like hospital. So it's just like, she's starting to remind me of, like, the Jackie Christie of the show. Like, she is going to be the wild card that says a bunch of outrageous mess, but she's going to end up winning us over because she's just so crazy to where that's just who she is. But Jen then calls Mary out and then about the fact that she doesn't really care. Like, she was in the hospital, like, for days. And then Mary then reiterates the fact that, like, look, the smell of a hospital traumatizes me. Like, I was in the hospital. I think she said she had about like 6 surgeries or so. And then her being in the hospital for so long, it just really like traumatized her, and that smell takes her to a dark place. I can see what she was saying, but it kind of felt like she was BSing to me, but it is what it is. So Meredith then comes in and she kind of tries to calm everybody else down, but then Jen kind of like gets angry all over again. But then she calms herself down, and then in her confessional she says that, you know what, I'm not about to let this girl make me look like a fool at my own party, so I'm just going to play nice with her from here on out. So then we see in the corner, we see Lisa and Whitney talking. And at first, Whitney thanks Lisa for giving her tequila bottles for her, I believe it was for her vow renewal ceremony. And also with the fact that she also lended over bartenders to service that entire ceremony. But then she reveals to Lisa that her staff was pretty unprofessional. Like, they weren't really serving the drinks. They dropped bottles and left glass everywhere, and they were also drinking themselves. And Lisa takes offense to that because she's like, oh, so you're trying to make my business look bad, basically? Like, I gave you a free gift. Like, I'm not going to give you a Chanel necklace and tell you what to do with it. Like, and I saw both sides. At the same time, like, I feel like Whitney, she should be a little more grateful than what she was. But at the same time, she was just trying to let homegirl know, like, your staff is, like, acting up. Like, they're coming to these events and they're not taking their job seriously. But then Lisa, on the other hand, Lisa gave her a free gift. So it's just like, girl, why are you complaining? Like, I gave you all of my services and alcohol for free. Like, you could have went to Specs or something. So I understood where both of them were coming from. But at the end of the day, like, Whitney was really just trying to give her a heads up. Like, I feel like there was no, like, malice intent on her end. But then Lisa then basically tells her she doesn't care in so many words. And she walks over and she tells everything in a catty way to her twin Meredith. And she goes off by the fact that, I did all these services for her. I gave this to her for free. And Whitney in her confessional basically says, like, you know what, like, Lisa, I hear her going off, and Lisa's just basically mad at the fact that I didn't call her perfect. Like, that's really what it is, and I agree. So then we go on to the next scene. We see Jen, she's at home, like, trying to hurry up and clean up the place before her husband gets home, but it's too late. He catches them in the midst of them cleaning, and he's like, oh, what's going on? Like, what's the damage from the party? What are you hiding, basically? So then we see Whitney, like, we see her stripping in front of her daughter. It was like a montage scene. Like, it was Jen cleaning, and then we see Whitney stripping in front of her daughter, and then we see Heather trying on ski gear. And then we get to Meredith, and actually Meredith calls Heather, and then they decide that they want to plan like a little ski getaway for the weekend. So then we go on down, and then we see Lisa at her house with her family. She's basically, in this whole scene, she's basically just going off to her husband about Whitney having the audacity to challenge her and tell her that her staff was acting up, and basically like I did all this for her, and like this is how she repays me. Like she just makes my business look bad. And I think she was mainly mad because she was taught, like Whitney said, her staff was acting up on national television. Like, that's what it is. Without breaking the fourth wall, Lisa was mad at the fact that, like, you're giving my business a bad review on live television, basically. But, like, her husband's just kind of sitting there, and then it's just, like, he kind of comes off as, like, a yes man to me. Like, he kind of comes off as somebody that, like, she runs the pants in that family. Like, that's what I'm getting. So we then see Heather and Whitney. They go shopping for some ski gear. And then once they sit down, they then talk about the party and basically how Lisa dissed Heather. And Heather feels some type of way. Like, it's really bothering her that, like, I know this girl. And for her to act like she doesn't know me, like, it frustrates me. Been there. I've been in her shoes before, so I understand. But, like, usually I keep those feelings to myself. If somebody hurts me, like, I usually just, like, check it to the deuces, but inside I am hurt. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. But, like, I understand where Heather's coming from, but, like, girl, like, just have tough skin with this bitch. Like, you have more money than this girl. Like, you're probably doing way better off in life than this girl. Like, in the grand scheme of things, you've won in life, Heather. So, pay this girl dust. And then they talk about Whitney, like, basically, like, they talk about Lisa accusing Whitney of being a swinger. And basically with the fact that, like, her and her husband, like, she says in her confession there's, like, a big swinging community within Utah, and I believe it. Like, I believe they have all the polygamy, all of the open marriages. Like, Utah, like I've said, being there for 6+ years, it is a very strange city, in my opinion. Salt Lake City, that is. But she then talks about her upbringing and basically about the fact that, you know, she was like this cookie cutter Mormon girl that followed the rules up until she was 16, and when she had beer, and then she felt like, oh, wait a minute, so I can do this and I'm still like a Mormon, like I'm still in good graces. And then it made her, like, a light bulb went off in her head, but, like, am I doing this for me, or am I doing this because it's the life that was laid out for me, basically? And then they also get into the fact that Lisa, I believe it was Lisa or somebody called Whitney a homewrecker. And then Heather's like, well, do you feel like you're a homewrecker? And Whitney's like, no. And I'm just like, well, now, Whitney, you told us from episode 1 that you and your husband cheated on both of y'all spouses with each other. So you are a homewrecker. I like you, Whitney, but you gotta just be honest with yourself, girl. Like, you were honest in the first episode, just be honest. Like, I know the homewrecker term has a negative connotation, but girl, you broke up a marriage. I mean, so did your husband too, but still, like, you played a part in a marriage ending. So then in the next scene, we see Whitney at her house with her kids, and her dad comes over with this weird, like, 80s haircut. Like, it was just like he literally looked like a reformed drug addict. And she revealed that he was basically, before he went down a negative path in life, he owned a hairstylist and owned a bunch of hair care products and was really thriving in the world. But then all of a sudden, like, her mom wanted to divorce her dad, and then that kind of sent him in a downward spiral in life, and he turned to drugs to cope from a broken heart. And she also says if it wasn't for her, he probably would have killed himself, because she became his rock. Like, she became his confidant, and she ensured that he was in rehab and made sure that he kind of just got his shit together, basically. And it was, like, a very, like, loving relationship. Like, it was very cute to see them two on screen. And she also reveals, I'm going to go to Mary's church on Sunday. Do you want to come with me? And he's like, sure. Because he kind of wants some solace, and he kind of wants to get right with God and get on the right path. It was a very touching scene. Like, I'm really starting to like Whitney. Like, Whitney, Heather, and Jen so far are my favorites. So then we go, and then we see Meredith and her husband. They go out to dinner. And this is where, like, the plot kind of thickens. So they sit down, and he's already right off the bat complaining about her being on her phone. And she's like, no, like, I'm not on my phone. Like, I haven't been on my phone that much. Like, I'm a businesswoman, basically. Like, what do you expect? And then in the confessional, they talk about how they've been together since they were like in their early 20s. They met at 23, had a baby at 24, and I believe they're like in their 40s now. They've been together ever since. And it really begs the question to me, like, y'all, does marriage... Like, I believe in marriage, I believe in monogamy, but were we really meant to be with somebody that long? Like, I've been single for about 3 years. I've only been in one relationship, and I don't think I can imagine being with somebody for 20 plus years. Like, maybe it takes the right person to feel that way, but I want to say, like, after, like, I think... Personally, I feel like marriages, they need like not an expiration date, but they need a renewal date. Like, I want to say after that 7-year mark, you should be able to have the option to, like, oh, do you want to renew this lease, basically? Like, that's how marriage should be, in my opinion. Like, do I want to stay with this nigga, or do I want to renew our vows and go on? And because we already have the renew our vows part, so why, like, that should be... I feel like that should be implemented into marriage. Like, we should have a choice where we want to renew this marriage or not. But I just went on a whole tangent. But basically, like, they get into it, and he confronts her about the fact that, like, have you been telling people that we're separated? Like, what's going on? And she kind of, like, quivers a little bit, and she's like, no, I haven't told anybody that. And then he's like, okay, yeah, well, let me see your phone. And then she's like, no, you can't see my phone. He's like, why? You can see mine. Let's swap phones. And she's like, no, you can't. Like, no, I'm not showing you my phone. And girl, Meredith got a dude on the side. Mark my words, Meredith is seeing somebody. It's probably going to come out before this season ends. I mean, low-key, they're probably cheating on each other, to be honest. But the fact that you couldn't show your husband of 20 plus years your phone, girl, we know what's up. So then we go on, and then we see the girls. They all arrive at the Snowbird Ski Lounge. Y'all, like, I have so many memories at this lodge. Like, it was just... It looks very different now, because I think the last time I went, it had to have been 2009. So to see it today, like, of course, I'm going to assume they updated it, but, like, it was just very beautiful. Like, the snow is just amazing. It's just, like, the perfect white. Like, the ski lodge is on point. They got, like, really good restaurants, very fucking expensive, in my opinion. But, like, that really just was a nostalgia moment for me. So... they all go skiing. Everybody's, like, hitting the slopes except for Mary and Jen. They're kind of just pussyfooting around. And then, like, at the top of the mountain, we see Heather and Whitney talk about Lisa always taking jabs at Whitney. Like, every time there's a conversation between them two, Lisa always says some nice, nasty things about her. Like, basically saying, like, in the confessional, actually a flashback scene showing that, like, oh, Whitney, we need to go ahead and, like, update your wardrobe, girl. And she's like, what's wrong with my wardrobe? And then she said, it's very Utah. And I'm just like, now Utah is not a fashion capital at all. But just because you're from New York does not mean that you just have, like, the grand, like, scale of, like, in terms of fashion sense. Like, girl, sit down. So then the ladies all go to dinner late. They miss their reservation, but, you know, since they're on TV, the restaurant goes ahead and accommodates them. And then Whitney says that she is going to Mary's church. Some of the girls take offense to it because it's a Pentecostal church, and they're like, why can't you just go to the Mormon church? And Whitney's basically not fucking with the Mormon shit anymore. Like, she got exiled from the Mormon church. She's not trying to... I don't know if she's trying to go to another religion or check out, like, the Pentecostal church and see if she wants to become a member, but she's just not fucking with the Mormon shit anymore. Like, y'all got rid of her. Like, no. So then, something, like, there was, like, a little argument between Lisa and Whitney, and then Whitney reveals that she feels judged and threatened by Lisa. And then Lisa kind of goes off on everyone. She's like, you know, I can't help how you guys, like, feel about me. Like, I'm not responsible for how you guys perceive me. And then Heather chimes in. She's like, well, so you're comfortable with me perceiving you as somebody that is very dismissive and standoffish and low-key bitchy? And Lisa is just basically like, I'm not that, and I know that I come from a good place and a place of heart, so I don't care. And then she's like, Heather's like, how do you come from a place of good and heartness when you sat there and lied on me, saying, for one, that you don't really remember me, but at the same time saying that I flashed people in college? And I said that in the last episode, like, how are you going to say that this girl was loosey-goosey up in college, but yet you claim you don't really remember her like that? Like, that's that fake ass shit that I do not like with people. Like, I don't like Lisa, y'all, already. Like, I don't deal with fake people over here. Like, fake people, bye, bitch. So then, they could proceed to argue, and then, they kind of argue about the fact that, like, I think Heather texted Lisa, like, a thumbs up, which is supposed to mean a fuck you, which is very new to me. Like, this is, like this, I don't know if this is, like, some white people shit, or if that is, like, just, like, some Utah shit, but I'm just, like, one thumbs up means fuck you, two thumbs up means double fuck you. Like, I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. So then Jen chimes in and she's like, you know what? Like, Heather wouldn't be going off like this to you if she didn't care. Like, she genuinely cares about you and both of y'all's friendship, even though they don't have a friendship. But Lisa then aggressively, like, fake apologizes. She's like, you know what? I'm done. Like, I'm done. Like, it is what it is. Like, I'm done. And then the episode goes off. This was a cute episode. I give it about a 7 out of 10. Like, I feel like things are slowly heating up already. Like, I feel like they're really giving us something in the first 2 episodes, which is much appreciated, especially because they're from Utah. Like, nobody had expectations for this show, so these girls need to show up and show out, and they're delivering. I gotta give it to them. But those are my views. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'm going to come at you guys with some more content.